I'm so glad you've joined us today on the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday.
You know what that means, Christa.
I do.
It's time for our weekly Clark Stinks segment. Later, home renovations have slowed way down in the United States. And suddenly, contractors are willing to return your phone calls for home improvements, renovations, that kind of thing. So is it the time to do a reno at your home? I have some thoughts about it, and we'll talk about that later. But right now, it's time for Clark Stinks, where you get to find out how someone feels I gave bad advice, lame advice, incomplete advice, whatever it is, straight ahead with Christa reading your Clark Stinks posts.
I should have never encouraged you to speak.
You must think I'm pretty stupid.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're right, pal.
Sam's Club Scan and Go may be convenient, but the actual app allows them to access and harvest a lot of information from your phone, including your biometrics. In this agreement, there is a brief statement that you are also agreeing to the app's policy. When you click on the app's policy, you have to dig on their site to find out that you are giving them a ton of access to your phone and its information, i.e. pictures, with no exclusions, your contacts, and your biometrics, which makes me think of those health watches. Becca,
I appreciate this. Gosh, congratulations to you that you read the full terms and conditions. That is a story. I wonder if we could get a response from Sam's Club.
we can ask. I mean, a lot of these apps require this. The biometrics would be if you're using biometrics to unlock
I get
the app.
that. But why do they have right to see all the pictures on your phone?
It's probably they need access to your camera, which is like if you're scanning something.
Yeah, you have to scan.
It's usually what we've been told in the past by people who have these permissions on the apps is that it's an overall thing. If you have access to the camera, it gives them access to pictures. Not that they will use it, but they have to get your permissions to use these things.
I'd love a response from them.
Okay, we'll ask them.
Because I've recommended Scan and Go. I've loved how it works and what a time saver it is, and you never have to worry about checkout lines or anything like that. So if they are improperly invading our listener and viewers' lives, I think we need to know that.
Would you still use it?
I don't know yet.
Okay. I love you, but you smell worse than a mountain of soiled baby diapers. I listened to your story about your holy loafers that you wore in the rain and how you wouldn't replace them with a pair you like for $69. First of all, you have more than enough to buy them, and you should be setting an example to people that it's more important to protect your feet than save $1. Second, all of your loafers lasted from 2008 to 2024. That's 16 years. Even if the new pair lasted you a third as much, you'd only be spending under 4 cents a day for the life of the pair. If you got 16 years out of them, then it's only a penny. Get the shoes, or at least go to a consignment or thrift store and pick up a decent pair for a few bucks. Clarkus Maximus.
Thank you. I have actually been looking at used stores for a new pair of loafers, and so far I have not found anything that fits.
All right. Stink, stank, stunk. Doesn't matter what tense, you hit them all when you told the 40-year-old woman who loved to travel before she got married and whose husband didn't like traveling that she wanted to get back out there and travel to some U.S. cities safely. She also didn't want to rent cars, but did want to use public transit. You mentioned a lot of U.S. and Canadian cities back east, but neglected to talk about some of the cities out west other than San Francisco, like Salt Lake City, which is a fantastic public transport system. You also can easily get to and from the airport on the light rail system, which also serves the rest of the Salt Lake Valley, not to mention the bus system. There's also commuter rail that serves the 4 counties along the Wasatch Front from Ogden to Provo. Salt Lake City is very safe and would be a great option for her, Steve.
Oh, I thought you were going to have that be Gary, my brother.
Oh, yeah.
Steve, my brother and his wife live in Salt Lake almost half the year, and he never stops talking about how great the public transit is there. And so that was a fail on my part to not mention the incredible improvements in the Salt Lake Valley and being able to move around without a vehicle.
Also about that same question, just wanted to comment on your words about San Francisco, which is really getting a bad rap these days. Yes, there have been too many car break-ins, and yes, they have a homeless problem, along with so many other cities in this country. I travel for work and spend half the year on the road. There are many worse places than San Francisco, believe me. I feel safer in most parts of San Francisco than I do in several other areas of the U.S. It continues to offer unparalleled beauty, culture, and amazing restaurants. Please don't believe the hype, and no, I don't live there. Lauren.
Lauren, thank you. I was going to go to San Francisco, and my wife was like, that just doesn't sound like any fun. And maybe I need to go without her and go see from my own two eyes, or since I wear glasses, my four eyes, what it's like right now. But the reports generally have not been so positive.
Your comments about premium fuel were off base in my view. I have had 3 Lexus NXs, one of which is a hybrid. The non-hybrid ones require premium because they are turbos. It's a different car on regular. I think this was bad advice and bad for the car. Maybe mid-grade, but not regular. Don.
Don, thank you for that. Toyota sells, I guess they're the world's largest automaker at this point. They sell all over the globe, and their vehicles have to be able to operate at different levels of octane. You might have less horsepower in your vehicle putting in regular, but I'd be very surprised if there was any danger to that vehicle at all by running on regular. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but I would be shocked if I was.
Recently on your podcast, someone wrote in saying she missed her employer's annual deadline to select a payroll deferral into her health savings account. She was disappointed and asking for advice. You did not tell her about the key actions she can still take. She can make an after-tax contribution directly into the HSA account. She will still get tax-free growth of the money if it's invested. She can contribute up to the full amount allowed for 2024, and she can take an above-the-line adjustment to income on Schedule 1 of Form 1040, making it a tax-free contribution. She won't avoid paying FICA taxes on that money, as she would have with a payroll deferral through her employer, but that's better than missing out on contributing for 2024. Stephen.
Stephen, this is exactly why we do Clark Stinks. Obviously, you do accounting tax work or have expertise in this. I have never, ever heard this ever from anyone. I'm assuming that everything you said is exactly right. And what a phenomenal way to restore the value of not missing a year's contributions to an HSA. Thank you very much for taking the time to write that.
On a recent podcast, Clark was talking about ways to get better deals on hotels and mentioned that you can't book through third parties and still get the perks, which is accurate. He failed to mention using points, either from transferring them from a credit card or straight out buying them. Frequently, I've been able to save money doing this. For example, I needed a room for a weekend in a smaller town. The lowest rate was $350 a night plus taxes and fees.
Wow, in a small town, that's a lot.
I was able to get the same room for 60,000 Hilton points, which at the time were on sale for half cent each. I spent $600 on points instead of spending $700 plus taxes, and I get all of the perks with my Hilton status. Every brand varies, but frequently you don't pay taxes or fees on points bookings, and sometimes you also don't pay the junk fees. Point nights usually still count towards status, and you avoid the junk fees and taxes. Danielle.
Danielle, thank you. There's so many blogs now that do a great job. If you have accumulated a lot of points from travel or credit cards, and you want to know how to get maximum value out of the points from an airline, the points from a hotel chain, it's amazing that if you will follow the strategies they recommend, things like you said are perfect. I was booking a hotel room for my daughter the other day, my middle child daughter, younger daughter, the two. And when I was booking a room for Steffi, I had 4 windows open. 3 involved using various types of points, and 1 involved using dollars. And I was doing that cost benefit, trying to figure out which was best. And in that case, it turned out paying dollars was best. But if you'll take the time and do this, if you've accumulated a lot of points, it sure will help. The Points Guy is really good as a website and email notification service of great strategies and great opportunities of using points for air or for hotel.
You stink worse than a dumpster behind a butcher shop. You recently complained about having to pay a cancellation fee to a small business. I would like to give you the perspective of cancellations from the perspective of a business owner, a small business owner. I've owned a business for a decade tutoring math students. My business is vital for my family's needs and is not just a hobby or side hustle for fun money. I'm shocked by the rudeness of clients not showing up or canceling last minute because they didn't feel like it, they were tired, or they forgot what day of the week it was. I often have a wait list of clients wishing they could see me. If I had a day's notice, I can fit someone in to not make $0 for the canceled client and help someone else who needed it. This year, I required clients to prepay at the beginning of the month and stated I will not offer a refund for future credit for same-day cancellations except for illness. This new policy resulted in clients not canceling for any reason other than being sick. I can only imagine the rudeness in American society to reserve a spot of a business's time and space and then not show up. It has put many small and mid-sized businesses out of business. There have been many months I have been on the brink of giving up on my regular clients because of the irregulars go to work for someone else at half of what I can make myself. But I have a reliable income knowing I'll always show up. And that's from Chelsea in Minnesota.
Chelsea, thank you. That is a wonderful perspective, and I really appreciate that. That has been the reason hairstylists, barbers, so many businesses that then when that time is blocked for someone, if they no-show, that directly attacks their income. And professional massage therapists, there are lots of businesses you could insert there that the no-show factor can demolish income. And I love you sharing that perspective.
Regarding your advice to use UShip to have a vehicle moved across the country, I would like to make sure you're aware that the bids I received were nowhere close to what they finally wanted to charge, and the ones I work with would not accept payment with a credit card but demanded cash. Apparently, they don't want to be accountable for loss or damage that could be charged back to the card. We ended up not using them because of the somewhat sleazy practices we encountered. Love your show and wouldn't want to miss an episode, Jennifer.
Jennifer, thank you for that feedback. We have not had complaints that I'm aware of.
No, you definitely want to use shippers that have a lot of reviews.
Yeah, I mean, some of them have thousands of reviews, and actually take the time to read them. The thing you're talking about with the credit card versus cash, you want to pay by credit card regardless of who you use to move a vehicle across the country. You don't want to pay with cash. They charge discriminatory pricing way beyond the credit card fees if you want to pay by credit card, because they don't want to be in a position where you have any leverage in the situation. But it's worth it to pay more when you're shipping a car across the country or your own possessions to pay by credit card so you have those protections in place.
I've got to call you out because of the putridness of your bad advice was seeping through my car's stereo and making me gag. In a recent episode discussing the safety of PayPal as a payment platform, you stated using PayPal has the same protections as a credit card. While this may be true in theory, our family found out the difficult way that it was not the case. My wife was tricked by a Chinese scam dupe website for a well-known jewelry retailer advertising a sale on Facebook. The website looked almost exactly like the actual retailer's site. My wife paid for the order via PayPal. When she discovered a few minutes after placing the order that the confirmation email did not come from the retailer, she attempted to cancel but was told that the order could not be canceled as it had already shipped. We contacted PayPal for dispute resolution, but they sided with the scammer company and said we would need to return the package of the fake plastic jewelry we received. When you initiate a return with the scam company, they give you a fake address in China and then claim to never receive your return if you actually send it. If you do a Google search for Chinese scam PayPal, you will find numerous complaints about them continuing to side with these scam retailers in the dispute resolution process. I think it's a very convenient platform to use, but I would not expect much from their promises to protect you from fraudulent actors. John.
John, thank you for this. And I don't know how long it's been since this happened to your wife, but she should file a complaint immediately at consumerfinance.gov, the website of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's not just PayPal. We're hearing more and more complaints about banks not following the federal law and regulations when it comes to disputes. The failure to receive goods and services as stated, dispute about the quality of the goods, whatever, that is a grounds for a dispute. And so if PayPal acts like they're washing their hands of it, not their problem, file a complaint with consumerfinance.gov, and let's see how that plays out between you and PayPal after the feds have prying eyes on the situation.
You talked about possible pros and cons of converting your primary residence into a long-term rental versus selling and taking advantage of not paying capital gains taxes. Isn't there also an option to move back into the rental for 2 years at some point in the future and make it your primary residence again? And that way you become eligible for the capital gains exclusion. Maybe it's not feasible for most, but I will let you decide if you stink for not mentioning this option if it is in fact a viable one. Do you stink, Steve?
Only partially, because the law and regulations changed, as I understand it, that you then have a ratio of the exclusion you're able to recapture, but not the full thing. When you leave a residence and are gone from it more than 2 years, you then trigger this process of ratio of exclusion if you move back in. And now I'm stepping into an area that I'm only minimally qualified to talk about, because this is something that CPAs who do tax and enroll agents understand thoroughly and completely. But it's not how it used to be, which was so simple. You could turn a property into a rental property, then later turn it back into your principal residence, and then you'd have the full exclusion restored. And my understanding is it does not work that way anymore. If you find out that I'm just flat out wrong, then I fully do stink. But I don't think I'm wrong on this one. But I appreciate you asking, and I will check myself to see if my understanding about how it works now on the exclusion is wrong, and if it is wrong, I'll correct it on the podcast. If it's correct, I'll just let it stand as it does. And coming up ahead, speaking of homes, we're going to talk about the home reno market that's going through a lot of changes right now, a lot that are to your advantage as a homeowner. Home renovations have been a very troubled area for a number of years because of extreme shortages of workers available to do it. Workers have just been, owners of home improvement, home reno companies have just been overwhelmed with requests for work. And markets turn, and things are not overheated anymore. There's more availability of the products you need for a renovation, and far more availability of home improvement contractors, home reno contractors, than we've seen in a good long time. So does that mean it's time for you to do a renovation or addition at your home? Well, let's do a back to basics here. Virtually without exception, the reason you do a home renovation or addition project is because you want to, not to make money. Almost never will the money you spend on an addition or renovation of your home make you back in money when you sell that home what it cost you to do the work that you're having done. Because the cost per square foot of doing a renovation or addition is really, really high, much more than sticks up building a new home. Renovations are much more costly per foot. So the reason you do a project is because you want to. Don't convince yourself, well, you can if you want, but don't believe in real terms that you're going to make back all the money. Even when you see the lists of paybacks from home renos, home improvements, additions, even the best of them will recover at most, in perfect circumstances, 90 cents on the dollar of what you're paying. But not everything is about return on investment. Think about if in today's interest rate environment, you're in a home that you own, you're kind of locked in with a mortgage interest rate of 2, 3, or 4%. The home you've kind of outgrown, you need to add on another bedroom or a bathroom or whatever it is, or it's getting a little worn out and, you know, the kitchen's dated, bathrooms, whatever, and you want to enjoy the house more and you want to be able to stay and continue to benefit from that really low mortgage. In those circumstances, you're not going to get from the project itself, you're not going to get dollar for dollar return on investment, but it lets you stay in that dwelling, which is a worthy thing. And there are times you just want to do whatever improvement, addition, renovation, whatever it is, you just want to do it as a lifestyle purchase. But don't tease yourself that it's going to have a payback. The payback is not financial, it's your enjoyment. I will tell you that anytime you do a home renovation, though, it's not going to be a picnic. The time going through the renovation or addition, it's a rough time. And I've talked in the past, so no point of rehashing this, just to say hiring the right person up front, the right contractor, is key because it's much easier to hire them than it is to fire them. Contract needs to be very clear. A lot of references need to be checked by you, and you need multiple quotes. The more specific you are with the materials and the job you want done, the fewer misunderstandings there will be as you go through the process. Enough about that. The good news, the cost of appliances, way down. If you're doing a kitchen redo, it's crazy how much cheaper the appliances are than before. We've gone from extreme undersupply to oversupply in the appliance area. A lot of construction materials that the prices have gone crazy are back down. The availability of labor, not where it would be ideal for construction or renovation, but much better than it's been in years and years. As the economy still growing, it's in a little bit slower gear. And so the conditions in the market are better. Interest rates are higher, which weirdly benefits you doing a renovation because that has been a brake on activity to some extent and creates more opportunity for you to get a better deal on the job you want to contract for than you had before. So is it the perfect moment to do a home renovation or addition? If it's about making money, there's never a perfect moment. But is it greatly improved from where it was before? No doubt.
Okay, we'll go to questions. Michael in Colorado says, I'm interested in replacing my windows. When I was leaving my local Costco, I noticed there were solicitors for window and door replacement along the line to the exit. Are there any advantages to using these installers versus others, such as cost? Any other advice when shopping for windows? That's a big cost.
Yeah, it's a huge cost. And I will tell you, going back to my return on investment thing, windows may make you more comfortable in your home by eliminating the drafts, cold Colorado winter, that kind of thing. But they don't usually have anywhere close to a return on investment. It's one of the lowest return things you can do for energy conservation in your home. So windows, because your windows are decrepit, old, whatever, that's why you would replace them. Buying them at Costco. So with those contractors, you see that as you go to where they check your ticket leaving a Costco, and they have the fence there, and they have all the different contractors. The idea is that you, in theory, because of the way Costco's business model works, you're getting a lower price buying from one of those people than you are from elsewhere. The only way you'd validate that or be able to verify it is get the price from the Costco vendor for the windows and get prices directly from a window seller or other big boxes that sell windows. And it's got to be identical specs for you to see if you really are getting a better deal at Costco, somewhere else, or from an independent seller of windows.
David in Arizona says, this week I received an email saying that Pier Street plans to sell my personal information as part of their bankruptcy plan, but that I can opt out by emailing them. The letter doesn't list what information they need to be given in order to opt out. I'm not even sure how I'm connected to this company. Is it a legitimate way to opt out of having my personal information sold?
So if you were not involved, Pier Street was a crowdfunder for real estate. And it was a pretty complicated business model, and the marketplace didn't support it, and they've gone bankrupt. And so in the bankruptcy court process, they're looking for everything possible that would be able to get money for creditors. And if it's a crowdfunder trying to draw in money from wealthy individuals and institutions, then that would be potentially a valuable mailing list. So there should be a clear way in the document you received for how you would be able to opt out, and you don't have it. So if you were to go search online for the bankruptcy court filing for Pier Street, you'd be able to see who the bankruptcy trustee is, and you contact the bankruptcy trustee, since you're not going to get an answer from an insolvent non-operating institution, to see how you would do an opt-out. As to how you, David, ended up being someone in their bankruptcy filing and they have information from you, I have no idea how that could have happened. So they may not have any meaningful information to speak of on you anyway. But this has been a continuing problem in bankruptcy filings over the last 20 years as people now trade in our information. And in a bankruptcy filing, all bets are off, even with privacy policies that supposedly protect you, with health data or who knows what. Remember, the bankruptcy court's just trying to get as much money for people who are owed money as they can. And this is valuable currency now, our private personal information from someone we did business with. And the real answer is a congressional statute, a federal law, that prevents a bankruptcy court process of piercing pre-existing privacy standards and selling off people's personal information to the highest bidder.
Cody in Minnesota says, hi, Clark. I love the show. Listen to it every day on my way into work. One of my credit card providers notified me that they are changing how they will calculate interest charges. They are going to go to daily periodic rate from a monthly periodic rate. I have the option to decline this change in the calculation. Should I decline it? What is the difference between the two calculations?
Cody, you could knock me over with a feather. I was not aware of any credit card issuer in the United States that calculated interest any other way but daily. Daily is much more favorable to the credit card lenders than monthly calculation because it allows for daily compounding of interest. And I am absolutely stunned that you have an issuer who is calculating monthly. So I don't know if you're running balances or not. If you're running balances, this would be of value to you to decline the change which none of your fellow cardholders will ever do. But if you decline it and continue to calculate monthly, you do stand the risk that they'll dump you as a customer. But if you, in fact, are being calculated monthly, that is to your advantage if you are running balances. If you're not running balances, this really does not affect you at all, and you don't need to worry about it because you're paying your balances during your grace period when there's no calculated interest anyway. And I want to thank you so much for joining us. The weekend is upon us, but do you know we never sleep? Clark.com and ClarkDeals.com are there to serve you all weekend long with ways for you to save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend, and we'll be back at your service on Monday.